Round 7 of the Presidential Walter Rodney Commission of Inquiry commenced at the Supreme Court Law Library building on January 26 with self-confessed double agent Robert Allen Gates re-entering the witness box with more damning revelations. Gates told the commission that he was given large sums of cash by high-ranking officials of the Guyana Police Force to pay informants, some from within the Working People's Alliance, to provide information relating to the whereabouts and plans of the party's executives.
The support that Dr. Rodney was getting, because many civil servants were prepared to, public servants were prepared to face whatever consequences and attend those meetings, even if they got to lose their jobs. Dr. O'Brien was very influential, and no doubt he had the capacity to remove the government.
Before we move off this particular plot that resulted in the death of Dr. Rodney, Mr. Gates, I will ask you this. While you were the bodyguard of Dr. Rupnarine, did you have any personal contact or communication with Dr. Rodney?
No, I saw him. I saw him at meetings that wherever Rupnarine visited and he was there, I would see him.
He spoke of a wide conspiracy by the Working People's Alliance, WPA, to overthrow the People's National Congress, PNC regime, and the regime in turn plotting to kill members of the WPA. Gates told commissioners that he was aware of 6 plots by the PNC regime to kill members of the Working People's Alliance, including Dr. Walter Rodney, Dr. Rupert Rupnarine, Ohini Kawama, and Dublin, among others. 3 of these executions were successful.
Could you tell us how many of these plots were you aware of?
Plots, not the successful ones. Or should I say?
We will do generally, whether they were successful or not. How many plots were you aware of that the state was plotting to kill people?
I would say about 6.
You were aware of 6 plots. Mm-hmm. Now, these 6 plots, who were the individuals they were directed to kill or plotting to kill? We could list them.
Dr. Rodney, Dr. Rupnarine. They had this guy, Ohini Kawama, Dublin, maybe another his name I can't recall, but I know the state wanted them out of the way.
Of the 4 plots of the named individuals, to kill the named individuals you identified, Dr. Rodney, Dr. Rupnarine, Ohini Kawama, and Dublin.
Yeah.
How many of those 4 was successful? 3.
Gates had earlier testified that he was given instructions to replace the magazine in a gun to be used by Dr. Rupert Rupnarine with a faulty magazine that would explode, killing Rupnarine instantly. However, this was never executed since Gates became sympathetic to the WPA and immediately resigned from the force, at which time his life came under threat by state agents acting on behalf of the PNC government. Gates said he was assured by senior functionaries of the GPF, including former Police Commissioner Laurie Lewis, that upon Dr. Rupnarine's demise, he would be given a safe haven in Moscow, Russia. He confirmed that during the 1978 to 1980 period, while he was a member of the death squad, Dr. Walter Rodney was classified as an enemy of the state, and that he was aware that Rodney would be killed by an explosive disguised as a walkie-talkie. Gates said the large crowds Dr. Rodney attracted at the WPA meetings and his utterances were seen as threats to the ruling regime at that time, PNC led by Forbes Burnham. Meantime, he also told commissioners that on 3 occasions while he was acting as an undercover agent, Dr. Rupert Rupnarine sent him to uplift ammunition from a Guyana Defense Force officer. He recalled that the first location was outside the National Park, the second behind the Pegasus Hotel, and the third being Parade Ground.
When you went there to pick up the stuff, were you aware of what the stuff was?
Yes, I was told by Dr. O'Brien that it's a 5-pound Danco milk powder tin with 7.62 ammunition.
That was the description given to you by Dr. Rupnarine about what you were to uplift.
Yes, madam.
When you arrived there on the night in question, could you describe the man that you saw? Was he wearing or attired in the manner he was described to you?
He was wearing the same red and black tracksuit.
Did you collect anything from the
Yes, I collected a 5-pound milk powder tin, which was in a bag.
What kind of bag?
It was one of those canvas bags. It's used by the army sometimes, something like a haversack type of stuff.
Was the bag tied or open?
No, it was closed. It was.
Did you look inside the bag?
Yeah, I opened it to see if the milk powder tin was inside, but then it was visible from the time I held it, I knew.
Okay. How many times were you sent to pick up ammunition?
Like I said, about 3 times.
About 3 times. And on the 3 occasions that you went to pick up ammunition, was it the same person you were picking it up from, or were there different people?
It was the same person, but different places.
The inquiry also heard that former GDF Chief of Staff Norman McLean, known by the code name Moon River, had given a former Guyana Police Force officer, Ashton Barker, instructions to travel to Suriname to keep tabs on murder-accused Sergeant Gregory Smith. Chairman of the Commission, Sir Richard Cheltenham, questioned why Gates was of the firm belief that Rodney's death was state-sponsored.
When did you first become aware of a plot by the state to kill Dr. Rodney?
I received, like I said, I met frequently with members of the death squad, and we shared intelligence. And based on the climate at the time and the movements of the intelligence forces and the death squad and other information received, I knew, like Dr. Rupnarine, he was also on the list. And my contact with Gregory.
I didn't get that, my contact with
Gregory Smith.
Gates was also probed as the reason behind him conducting an independent investigation into the political scholar's death.
I had decided to conduct my own investigations to find out how he died, who was responsible. And I did that in 2000, April.
You did that in 2000?
April. I interviewed a number of persons.
So it was in 2000 that you spoke to Mr. Johnson?
Sometime close to then.
Thank
a little before, maybe 99 late or.
No, but what triggered that interest in you in finding out that?
Like I said, I knew it was state-sponsored.
Now stop there. How did you know that it was state-sponsored?
Because of the persons, of the person involved and whom he was reporting to.
You talking about Gregory Smith?
Yes, sir.
And who do you know you was reporting to?
Norman McLean, he was reporting to several persons like me. I don't know all of them, but he was reporting to Norman McLean and Larry Lewis and others. Because from my understanding, Boredom never trusted any one person.
You never trusted any single person?
No, sir.
So translated into what was happening, who were those that you trusted?
I don't think he trusted anybody.
The chairman that asked, and I'm curious about it, what prompted you or what triggered your interest almost 2 decades after to find out about Dr. Rodney's death, whether it was the president had a hand in it or knew about it?
Because at that time, I started my private investigation company. And I just wanted to know for the sake of my own personal records. You know, I wanted to know.
You don't want to get this knowledge to blackmail men?
No, I wanted to use it as a form of security. Because like I said earlier, I was being hounded by Mr. Larry Lewis. He did me all sorts of things. Because Mr. Larry Lewis, while he was Commissioner of Police, long after he kept hounding me, he always felt threatened that I would expose what I knew.
I'm not wrong in suggesting that you had that sort of motive. You wanted to say, better hold on for me, I know this.
Because I circulated, I told someone who I knew would have gone back and told him that the CIA has this information. And I have a relative overseas who has the information. If I die, they would release it.
You got this message to Mr. Lewis?
I told it to someone who I knew would have told him.
You knew that the message would be carried back to him?
I know that. Because I didn't ask the person to tell him. I was telling him as though it was something in confidence. Well, look, I'm fearful for my life and I am doing this.
Is it to your knowledge that he received the information?
He did receive it.
But actually, it was a concoction. You did not.
Yeah, it's more or less. Yeah. I just wanted to use it as a form of security or life insurance policy.
There was a change in administration in 1992. The PPP became the government.
Yes, but Mr. Lewis,
He became commissioner when?
I don't know when he became commissioner, but he was the longest serving commissioner.
He was commissioner under the PPP government?
Also, the longest he served like 15 years. I think like 9 years after his demise. 9 years after the demise of the PNC. Larry Lewis ensured, like I said, he was one of the best intelligence minds around. I must give him credit for that. Larry Lewis would ensure that he knows something about everybody. So you can't get rid of him easily.
So you were trying to beat him at his own game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that is why he lasted throughout. He lasted so long. Even after he came off, he was appointed as security advisor in the office of the president. Partly mainly because he was a good intelligence man and he had a lot of intelligence on the other side.
You were being hounded by him, according to you. What do you mean by that, though?
Because, like I said, I think I mentioned this all in my testimony, in my previous testimony. After being released from the special branch lockup, after being there for about 30 days, I sought and gained employment at a prominent security service in Guyana as a special investigator. After 3 months, Larry Lewis wrote to the director of the service and informed him that I was a threat to national security and that he should fire me.
He expressed concern for his safety since he believes that his testimonies would have upset a number of prominent persons. Gates testified previously on June 5, 6, 23, and 24, 2014. Assistant Lead Counsel to the Commission, Lashmi Ahmed, summed up the day's proceedings.
We saw Alan Robert Gates return to the Commission to give further evidence. As he indicated, the events that he was telling us about occurred more than 30 years ago. And even though he did come to the Commission before, certain bits of information did not return to his memory at the time. And also he indicated that he was worried about security. And he came today to enlighten the Commission about some other events that occurred. in relation to addressing a particular issue as to whether Mr. Norman McLean did in fact know him personally or was just known to him. Mr. Gates has said categorically that he did in fact know Mr. McLean and Mr. McLean knew him. And he also indicated that when Mr. McLean would have said in this witness box that he knew of him and did not know him, that was not true. And he went on to lay foundation that he was in fact introduced by one Pat Austin to Mr. McLean, and thereafter he would have seen him at social gatherings and they would have exchanged words. That aside, Mr. Gates also indicated that he did in fact, based on the information he received and being part and parcel of a plot at one point in time that was intended to kill Dr. Rupnarine. And he even said in the box that Dr. Rupnarine owes him his life and he knows that. He indicated that he was well aware that the state at the time was involved in plots to kill specific people. And he identified 3 specific plots that he was aware about, which did in fact result in deaths. And these are that of Ohini Kwayama, that of Charles Dublin, and also of Dr. Rodney. And he indicated that in 2000, and I think this is important, he in fact conducted investigations. And based on his investigations in 2000, he spoke with a Sergeant Johnson, whose first name is Mark. And Johnson had served as a security guard for Mr. Burnham. And he said based on the conversation he had with Sergeant Johnson in 2000 when he was conducting his investigations, he learned that 2 to 3 days prior to the death of Dr. Rodney, there was a meeting, and at that meeting he identified there was Norman McLean, Laurie Lewis, Mr. Burnham, and a gentleman by the name of Dubé, who he indicated was a close friend of the then President, Mr. Burnham. He said this piece of information that he received from Sergeant Johnson gave him an indication that at the time the comrade leader, Mr. Burnham, was aware of the plot to kill Rodney. And based on that information, he has concluded that, and he told this to the commission, that the state was responsible for killing Dr. Rodney. Tomorrow, of course, he will be cross-examined as counsel involved asks for time to peruse the evidence to have same done tomorrow. So we look forward to his evidence in relation to these additional statements being tested tomorrow.